Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is coming from our desk in Geneva. This is late breaking news, guys. This is I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to tell you this, but there are other brands other than Rolex, guys.
Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. Today we review a refined, interesting, refreshing and I think inspiring collection. And for once I am going to read the whole email because I think it explains the principles of how this collection was built and what Mr. Watch, as he likes to be known, likes to purchase. Hi Uptake, following up on my Instagram message, thanks for taking the time to review my collection. I tried to keep it short but failed. I gave some background on the watches because not all of them are well known. Feel free to skip, I won't. I own 5 office watches and 2 sports watches. Funny thing is that I am generally wearing my sports watches, but I don't like collecting sports watches. I find that sports watches are about fit and practicality, nice to wear but nothing to see up close. I can spend an afternoon checking out my office dress watches under a loupe, but will never inspect my Zenith or IWC up close. I just grab them and put them on the wrist. As you can see, I try to steer away from the usual suspects building my collection. I'm usually in for discontinued watches. Everything released new nowadays is too expensive besides Omega. Also, buying discontinued or limited is a good way to keep the funds intact in case I ever need to liquidate. I don't sell watches often as dislike the trouble it takes. So I take good care and think it over well before I start hunting a watch. I preferably buy new old stock because of warranty, and I hunted some watches down and bought them with deep discounts such as the IWC, Zenith and GLC. It is possible to enjoy watches, wear watches and have decent value increase without owning Rolex, AP or Patek. My collection is as follows. Grand Seiko SBGR 007 white gold Grand Seiko in 35mm with the text Grand Seiko engraved in the dial. This is usually only done on the very expensive Grand Seiko, so this is a hidden gem. Only 12mm thick, reasonably slim for Grand Seiko. No date. Great watch, but I'm not drawn to Grand Seiko anymore due to their strategy of endless releases. Still keeping this because the monochrome of the watch is very cool. Your service experience, a bad experience, didn't help either. Some of their neo-vintage pieces with Seiko on the dial but with modern movements starting early 2000s are the best. Next, GLC Master Control Sector Dial. I love the watch, great looks, nothing beats your Patek Sector Dial though. Yeah, I have the 5296. Next watch, the Vacheron Constantin 56 in steel. Beautiful, underrated watch gifted by my wife. I don't care about the non-Geneva seal, non-in-house discussion. The only watch I own that is still currently in production. Let's take a break here. I love personally the 56 lineup. My favorite is the date with the power reserve, which is an in-house movement. But honestly, the whole in-house discussion is indeed hogwash. You know, Vacheron, Patek and AP were never about making their own watches. It was about finishing them and modifying certain parts for accuracy and durability. And now, of course, everybody has to have their own thing, and it doesn't mean there's going to be a better caliber. And in the past, watches had GLC calibers, and it was fine. And currently the best regarded Grand Complication, Chronograph, Perpetual Calendar, Patek is still The 5970, although the 5270 with their in-house caliber is much better in technical terms, and I think just looks just as good. But I really like the 56, and what a beautiful gift and tasteful gift from your wife. I think it looks gorgeous. Moving on, IWC Engineer 3239-02, the one to have. In steel, great bidder, nothing to say more. IWC is making mostly hockey pucks nowadays. Bring back the Engineer. What else can I say? Next, Zenith El Primero, 38mm on the bracelet in steel. Actually a ladies model back then, out of the 2012, 2024. Nowadays, the El Primero is well established as a man's watch in 38mm. Back then, it wasn't. Very cool, ocean blue and champagne. Interesting to see how things change. Then we have the Chopard LUC 1860, my heavy hitter in a rose gold 36.5mm. This was a steal just 2 years ago. Great quality. If you ever get tired of endless browsing of the well-known brands, I highly recommend diving into LUC. Look, they have some horrible looking and some absolutely beautiful watches hidden away at great prices. Geneva seal, chronometer, guilloche dial of pure white gold, beautiful micro rotor caliber, 70 hours power reserve, below 8mm thick. I agree. My current personal favorite is not a dress watch. It is the Traveler 1, the first one with the orange accent. As world timer goes, it is great. And actually the sports watch, the Alpine Eagle, is amazing on the wrist as well. But yeah, apart from that, dress watches, there's amazing stuff to find with Chopard. Next, we stay with the high-end stuff. Cartier CPCP, collection privée, rotonde de Cartier in 35mm white gold. Absolutely loving this watch. Great proportions, guilloche dial made in white gold, hand-wound GLC movement inside. CPCP and Cartier have a great catalog with hidden gems that can battle watch fatigue. Unfortunately, very much on the radar of collectors nowadays. Little pause here. When I sold GLC to someone here in Hong Kong who became a friend, he had the CPCP monopoussoir with that incredible. It's a tortue with the incredible caliber. I think collaboration of several top watchmaker. I think Vialter, Jaune. I'm not sure anymore. And he owned it twice, sold it twice at with a great profit, and now it's exploded. Yeah, everybody is looking at it now. It's one of those things 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that yeah, if you knew a bit what you were doing, you could pick up at a great price. Back to the email. Recently, I have been having some watch fatigue, which we all experience at some point. I'm looking to buy one more watch. Maybe selling the GLC because of the overlap with the Vacheron. I'm not buying Rolex. I don't like the brand appeal and the games they play. Well, it's not really the brand playing the games, I mean, to some extent, but it's just how the cookie crumbled. It is not safe to walk around with a Rolex around the wrist in my city. Europe is a terrible place to be in for watch guys nowadays. I don't follow tick the boxes for complications, etc. I buy what I like. How refreshing is that, right? Maybe I need a watch that is fun and playful. A full gold watch on bracelet, perhaps? Cartier Santos or Massif. An IWC 34mm Engineer in full gold cannot be worn outside due to safety reasons, but a full gold watch is absolutely wrong nonetheless. Awesome to have. I'm checking early Frank Mueller's too. The Endurance GT, the 7000 MC, the 7000 CC early Frank Muellers are a great pit to dive into. Very affordable Patek quality, very underrated, and should be priced much higher as long as you stay away from their modern stuff. But then again, I have enough dress watches. Any other suggestions outside of the usual suspects? Budget around 10K, but the cheaper the better. Thank you for your efforts and keep up the videos. Enjoying them a lot. Hope it does not become a burden seeing you have a bit of a watch fatigue too. Groetjes, he says in Dutch. Thank you so much, Mr. Watch. I especially enjoy your collection because what is renewing my interest for watches is beauty, and I'm gonna reduce my collection with a focus on what wears well on my wrist, what I find beautiful, and I think it's a great way to get out of a rut. And hopefully, yeah, as I said, the market is coming off, and while people mostly focus on the mainstream, interesting pieces like the ones in your collection will come back again. What one must surely avoid is to go for quality and beautiful movement at the expense of a beautiful watch as a whole, and it's something you have really avoided. Sometimes people buy very quirky models that absolutely nobody wants, that have no resale, and they get tired of them pretty quickly. But when I look at your pieces, they all have some sort of timeless beauty to themselves. Since you mentioned the Frank Mueller, I think that the movements are beautiful, but the case, lugs, and dial perhaps designs might feel a bit dated. As you also mentioned, a full gold bracelet, there's one model that I like but also starts to look a bit dated. It is the GLC Grand Sport Reverso. You know, I had the chronograph in steel. Then I sold it to my friend who owned the CPCP monopusher, and now I have the same but with the GMT complication, so a dual time, and they exist in full gold and beautiful execution, beautiful dial, incredibly comfortable bracelet with a super engineered clasp, great detail into the guilloche on the dial, which is different from the front to the back. And then of course you have the retrograde minutes counter on the back side for the chronograph, so that may be something you could look into. But yes, it is very 90s, but inside you have a caliber that nobody else has used. It is GLC for GLC when they were trying to capture a younger, sportier market again, and delivering something new of super high quality. Well, nevertheless, I'm sure you know where to look for the watches. I think you have great taste. Just don't go too far into the quirky. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Does this collection inspire you to look at something different than the usual Instagram suspects? Maybe add beauty and ask yourself, what is really beautiful to me? What do I really enjoy in a watch? Do I need to have 10 divers in my collection, or just one, to wear every day, and then just collect beauty instead? Well, Mr. Watch, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring collection with us. And guys, I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye bye.